William Scott came home unannounced. Nobody knew he was back. The house was silent like it had been for 18 months, but then he heard something, sounds coming from somewhere inside. His heart started racing. He didn't know what it was. He moved toward it, following the noise, his hands trembling. It was coming from the kitchen. He pushed open the door, and what he saw stopped his heart. His maid, Elena Martinez, was sitting on the floor with his 3 daughters. The triplets, all 5 years old, were laughing and playing around her. But that was not what shocked him. What shocked him was the bruises on their little arms, the sadness in their eyes, the way they flinched when Elena reached out to touch them. Something terrible had happened in this house while he was gone, and William had no idea what it was. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below and subscribe to this channel to support our growth. William Scott had everything a man could want: money, power, success. His company was worth billions. His name appeared in magazines. People called him a genius. But 18 months ago, his wife died. Her name was Catherine. She was beautiful and kind. She made their house feel like a home. When she died, giving birth to their triplets, William's world fell apart. He looked at those 3 baby girls and saw only pain. He saw the reason Catherine was gone, so he ran. He threw himself into work. He traveled to different countries. He built new offices. He made more money, but he never came home. He left his daughters with the staff, with nannies and housekeepers. He told himself they would be fine. He told himself he needed time. But deep down, he knew he was being a coward. He knew he was running from the only pieces of Catherine he had left. The triplets were named Rose, Lily, and Violet. Catherine had picked those names before she died. She loved flowers. She said flowers brought beauty into the world even when everything felt dark. William had agreed to the names, but he never used them. He barely looked at his daughters before he left. The staff took care of everything. They fed the bobbies, changed their diapers, rocked them to sleep when they cried. William signed the checks and stayed away. He convinced himself this was better. He convinced himself those girls did not need a father who could barely stand to look at them without breaking down. But guilt has a way of eating at a person. After 18 months of running, William woke up one morning in a hotel room in Tokyo and realized he could not remember what his daughters looked like. He could not remember their voices. He did not know if they could walk yet or talk yet or what made them smile. The realization hit him like a punch to the stomach. What kind of father was he? What kind of man abandons his own children? He booked a flight home that same day. He did not call ahead. He did not tell anyone he was coming. He just wanted to see his girls. He wanted to start over. He wanted to try to be the father Catherine would have wanted him to be. The flight back felt endless. William stared out the window at the clouds below and thought about all the time he had wasted. 18 months, that was a year and a half of birthdays and firsts and moments he could never get back. The triplets had turned 5 years old 3 weeks ago. William had sent expensive gifts, but he had not called. He had not video chatted. He had done nothing. He was ashamed of himself. He promised himself that things would be different now. He would come home. He would learn to be a father. He would honor Catherine's memory by loving the daughters she gave her life to bring into this world. When the plane landed, William took a car straight to his house. It was a massive estate on the edge of the city, 10 bedrooms, a pool, gardens that stretched for acres. Catherine had loved this house. She had decorated every room with care. She had planted flowers in the gardens herself. William had not been back since the funeral. As the car pulled up to the front gates, his chest felt tight. The house looked exactly the same. The gates opened automatically as they always did. The driveway curved through perfectly trimmed lawns. Everything looked clean and maintained. The staff was doing their job, but something felt wrong. William could not explain it. The house looked perfect on the outside, but it felt cold, empty, like nobody actually lived there. He thanked the driver and walked up to the front door. He used his key to let himself in. The entrance hall was grand with marble floors and a chandelier hanging from the high ceiling. Everything was spotless, not a speck of dust anywhere, but the house was too quiet. William stood there for a moment just listening. He expected to hear voices, laughter, the sounds of children playing, but there was nothing, just silence. His heart started to beat faster. Where was everyone? Where were his daughters? He walked through the house, checking room after room. The living room was empty. The den was empty. The playroom that Catherine had designed for the triplets was dark and unused. The toys were all lined up neatly on the shelves like they had never been touched. That struck William as strange. What 5-year-old keeps their toys that neat? He moved through the hallways, feeling more and more uneasy. Something was not right. He could feel it in his bones. Then he heard it, a sound coming from somewhere deeper in the house. It was faint, but it was there. Voices, soft voices. William's heart started racing. He moved toward the sound, his hands starting to shake. What was going on? Why was the house so quiet? Why did everything feel so wrong? The voices were coming from the kitchen. He could hear them more clearly now, a woman's voice speaking softly, and children, 3 small voices responding, William's daughters. He had not heard their voices in 18 months. He did not even recognize them. He reached the kitchen door and paused. His hand was on the doorknob, but he could not bring himself to turn it. Fear gripped him, fear of what he might find, fear of how much he had missed, fear of whether his daughters would even know who he was. But he had come this far, he could not turn back now. He took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The sight that met his eyes made his blood run cold. Elena Martinez, the maid he had hired 2 years ago, was sitting on the kitchen floor. Around her were his 3 daughters, Rose, Lily, and Violet. They were 5 years old now. They had long brown hair like their mother. They were wearing simple dresses that looked too small for them, but that was not what made William's heart stop. It was the bruises, dark purple marks on their little arms, scratches on their legs. Rose had a cut above her eyebrow that looked like it was healing. Lily was holding her arm like it hurt. Violet had tear stains on her cheeks. Elena was speaking to them in a gentle voice. She was holding a first aid kit. She was cleaning the cut on Rose's face with careful hands. The girls were quiet, too quiet. They sat perfectly still, like they were afraid to move, like they were afraid of being punished for making noise. William felt like he could not breathe. What had happened to his daughters? Who had hurt them? And where was everyone else? Where was the head housekeeper? Where were the other staff members? Elena looked up and saw him standing in the doorway. Her eyes went wide with shock. She dropped the cotton swab she was holding. The triplets turned to look at him too. 3 pairs of brown eyes stared at him with confusion. They did not know who he was. William realized with a sinking feeling that his own daughters did not recognize their father. He had been gone so long that he was a stranger to them. "Mr. Scott," Elena said, her voice shaking. She stood up quickly, brushing off her uniform. "I did not know you were coming home. Nobody told me." William could not speak. He was staring at his daughters, at the marks on their skin, at the fear in their eyes. When Elena stood up, Lily flinched. She moved back slightly like she expected to be hit. That small movement broke something inside William. These were Bobbies, his Bobbies, and they were terrified. "What happened to them?" William asked. His voice came out rough and angry. He was not angry at Elena, he was angry at himself, angry at whoever had done this, angry at the world. "Who hurt my daughters?" Elena's face went pale. She looked down at the girls and then back at William. Her hands were shaking. "Mr. Scott, I can explain, but not here, not in front of them." "Tell me now," William demanded. He stepped into the kitchen. The triplets shrank back. They pressed themselves against the cabinets like they were trying to disappear. That hurt worse than anything. His own children were afraid of him. "Tell me what happened. Tell me why my daughters look like someone has been beating them." Tears filled Elena's eyes. She was a small woman in her late 30s with kind features and tired eyes. She had worked for the Scott family for 2 years. Catherine had hired her personally. She had trusted Elena, and now Elena looked like she was carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. "It was Mrs. Hendricks," Elena whispered. Her voice was so quiet William almost did not hear her. "The head housekeeper. She has been hurting them for months. She hits them when they cry. She locks them in their rooms when they make noise. She does not feed them properly. She tells them they are bad children, that they killed their mother, that nobody wants them." The words hit William like a physical blow. He staggered back against the wall. Mrs. Hendricks, the head housekeeper. He had hired her himself before he left. She came with excellent references. She seemed professional and capable. He had trusted her to run the household, to take care of his daughters, and she had been torturing them for months, while he was on the other side of the world making business deals and pretending everything was fine. "Where is she?" William asked. His voice was deadly quiet. "Where is Mrs. Hendricks?" "She went out," Elena said. "She left an hour ago. She does that sometimes. She leaves me alone with the girls and goes shopping or meets friends. She does not care. She only acts nice when other people are around. When it is just her and the girls, she is cruel. I have tried to protect them. I have tried to keep them safe, but I am just the maid. Nobody listens to me. I thought about calling you, but Mrs. Hendricks said you did not care about the girls. She said you abandoned them. She said if I caused trouble, I would be fired, and then nobody would be here to help them at all." William felt sick. He looked at his daughters huddled together on the floor. They were so small, so fragile, and they had been living in hell while he ran away from his grief. This was his fault, all of it. He should have been here. He should have protected them. Instead, he had left them with a monster. He moved slowly toward the girls. He did not want to scare them more than they already were. He knelt down a few feet away from them. Up close he could see more bruises, a handprint on Rose's upper arm, fingerprints on Lily's wrist. Violet had a bruise on her cheek that was turning yellow as it healed. These were not accidents. These were marks left by someone who grabbed too hard, who hit with intention, who wanted to cause pain. "Rose, Lily, Violet," William said softly. He tried to keep his voice gentle even though rage was burning through him. My name is William, I am your father, I know you do not remember me, I know I have not been here, but I am here now, and I promise you that nobody is ever going to hurt you again. The girls did not respond, they stared at him with those big brown eyes. Catherine's eyes. Rose, the oldest by 3 minutes, tilted her head slightly. Father, she repeated, her voice was tiny, uncertain, like she was trying out a word she had heard before but never used. Yes, William said. He felt tears burning in his own eyes, but he forced them back. He needed to be strong right now. I am your father, and I am so sorry. I am sorry I left. I am sorry I was not here to keep you safe. But that is over now. Everything is going to change. Lily, the middle triplet, spoke up. Are you going to hit us too? The question shattered William's heart into a million pieces. His 5-year-old daughter was asking if he was going to hit her. That was what she expected from adults. Pain, fear, punishment. What kind of life had these girls been living? No, William said firmly. I will never hit you. Never. Hitting children is wrong. What Mrs. Hendricks did to you was wrong. You did not deserve it. You are good girls, beautiful, perfect girls, and I am going to spend every day for the rest of my life making sure you know that. Violet, the youngest and smallest of the three, started to cry. It was a quiet, heartbreaking sound, like she was trying not to make noise but could not hold it in anymore. Elena moved toward her, but William held up a hand. May I? He asked Elena. May I hold her? Elena nodded. William reached out slowly and gently picked up Violet. She was so light, so tiny in his arms. She stiffened at first, her whole body going rigid with fear, but William just held her carefully and started to rock her gently the way he had seen Catherine do with Bobby's. He hummed softly. It was a song Catherine used to sing, a lullaby about stars and dreams and safety. Slowly, Violet began to relax, her crying quieted. She rested her head against William's chest, and in that moment something inside William shifted. The wall he had built around his heart began to crack. For 18 months he had run from these girls because looking at them hurt too much. But now, holding this tiny broken child in his arms, he realized something. They needed him. They had always needed him, and he had failed them in the worst possible way. Rose and Lily were watching. William looked at them and opened his other arm. Come here, he said gently. Please let me hold all of you. The girls hesitated. They looked at each other. Then Rose, brave little Rose, stood up. She walked over slowly. She looked up at William with those serious brown eyes. You promise you will not hurt us? She asked. I promise, William said. On your mother's memory, I promise. Rose climbed into his lap. Lily followed a moment later. William wrapped his arms around all three of his daughters. They fit perfectly against him like pieces of a puzzle he had not known was incomplete. He breathed in the scent of their hair. He felt their small bodies pressed against his. And for the first time in 18 months, William Scott felt like he was home. But this moment of peace could not last, because at that exact second the kitchen door swung open. Mrs. Hendricks walked in carrying shopping bags. She was a tall, severe-looking woman in her 50s with sharp features and cold eyes. She stopped dead when she saw William sitting on the floor with the triplets. Mr. Scott, she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. What a surprise, we were not expecting you. William stood up slowly, keeping the girls behind him. His eyes were cold as ice. I can see that, he said. Elena has just been telling me some very interesting things about how you have been running my household. Mrs. Hendricks's expression flickered. Just for a moment something ugly crossed her face. Then the fake smile returned. I am sure there has been some misunderstanding, she said. Elena is new, she does not understand how things work here. These children require firm discipline. They are wild and unruly. I have been doing my best to raise them properly in your absence. Firm discipline? William repeated. His voice was dangerously quiet. Is that what you call leaving bruises on 5-year-old children? Is that what you call starving them and locking them in their rooms? Is that what you call telling them they killed their mother? Mrs. Hendricks's face went white, then red. Those children are spoiled and difficult, she spat out. The sweet tone was gone now. Her true nature was showing. They cry for no reason, they make messes, they need to learn respect and obedience. Their mother spoiled them before she died and left me to fix her mistakes. William saw red. He handed Violet to Elena and took a step toward Mrs. Hendricks. "Get out," he said. Each word was like a stone. "Get out of my house right now before I call the police and have you arrested for child abuse." "You cannot fire me," Mrs. Hendricks said, but there was fear in her eyes now. "I have a contract, I have rights." "Your contract is void the moment you laid hands on my children," William said. "You have 10 minutes to pack your things and leave. If you are still here after that, I will have you dragged out in handcuffs. Get out of my sight." Mrs. Hendricks opened her mouth to argue, but something in William's face stopped her. She grabbed her bags and stormed out of the kitchen. Her footsteps echoed through the house as she went upstairs to her room. William turned back to Elena and the girls. The triplets were clinging to Elena now, frightened by the confrontation. "Elena," William said, thank you for protecting them. Thank you for being here when I was not. I owe you more than I can ever repay." Elena wiped her eyes. "I love them," she said simply. "Someone had to." Those words cut deeper than any knife. Someone had to love his daughters because their own father could not face them. William knew he had a long road ahead of him. These girls had been traumatized. They had been hurt and scared and told they were worthless. It would take time to undo that damage. It would take patience and love and consistency. But William was ready. He was finally ready to be the father these girls deserved. "Pack up Mrs. Hendricks's things and leave them by the front door," William said. "Then I want you to help me move the girls' rooms downstairs. I want them close to me. I want them to know they are safe." Elena nodded. She started to move, but William stopped her. "And Elena, you are not the maid anymore. You are the head of this household. Whatever you need, whatever the girls need, you tell me. Money is not an issue. Their safety and happiness are all that matter now." For the first time since William had arrived home, Elena smiled. It was a small, tired smile, but it was real. "Yes, Mr. Scott." William turned back to his daughters. They were watching him with uncertainty. They did not trust him yet. He had not earned that, but he would. Starting right now, he would spend every day earning their trust and their love. "Girls," he said, kneeling down to their level again. "I know everything is confusing right now. I know you do not know me, but I am going to tell you something important and I need you to listen. You are safe now. Mrs. Hendricks is gone and she is never coming back. From now on, things are going to be different. You are going to be loved and cared for the way you should have been from the very beginning. Do you understand?" Rose looked at her sisters, then she looked back at William. "Can we have dinner tonight?" she asked. "Real dinner. Mrs. Hendricks only gave us bread and water." The simple question broke William all over again. His daughters were asking for food like it was a special treat, like it was something they could not expect to have. "Yes," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You can have whatever you want for dinner. Every night you will never go hungry again, I promise you that." Lily spoke up next. "Can we sleep without being locked in our rooms?" "You will never be locked in again," William said. "Your doors will stay open, and if you are scared, you can come find me, anytime, day or night." Violet, still in Elena's arms, asked the question that mattered most. "Are you going to leave again?" William looked into his youngest daughter's eyes. He saw fear there, fear of being abandoned again, fear that this moment of safety was temporary, and he made a vow right then and there that he would never break. "No," he said, "I am never leaving you again, never. This is my home, you are my home, and I am staying right here where I belong." The triplets looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. Then, slowly, Rose reached out and took William's hand, her little fingers wrapped around his big ones. It was such a small gesture, but it meant everything. It was the first step toward trust, the first step toward healing, the first step toward becoming a family. William squeezed her hand gently. "Let's go upstairs," he said. "Let's get you all cleaned up and fed and ready for bed, and tomorrow we are going to start fresh. We are going to start learning how to be a family, together." As they walked out of the kitchen, William heard the front door slam. Mrs. Hendricks was gone. Good riddance. He would deal with her later. Maybe he would press charges. Maybe he would sue her for everything she had. But right now, all that mattered were the 3 little girls walking beside him. His daughters, Catherine's daughters, the most precious things in the world. Upstairs, William helped Elena give the girls baths. They had more bruises than he had first seen. Each new mark he discovered made him angrier, but he kept his face calm. He did not want to scare the girls. He just washed them gently and told them they were beautiful and brave and strong. He dried them off with soft towels. He helped them into clean pajamas. He brushed their hair the way Elena showed him. Then he took them to his bedroom, the master bedroom where he and Catherine had once slept. He had not been in this room since before she died, but tonight it felt right to be here. He put all three girls in the big bed. They looked so tiny in the middle of the king-sized mattress. Elena brought up warm milk and cookies. The girls ate like they were starving. William realized they probably were. When they finished eating, William sat on the edge of the bed. "Do you want me to tell you a story?" he asked. The girls nodded. William thought for a moment, then he began to talk. He told them about their mother, about Catherine. He told them how she loved flowers and music and sunshine. He told them how excited she was when she found out she was having triplets. He told them how she picked their names because she wanted them to grow up as beautiful and strong as the flowers they were named after. He told them that their mother loved them more than anything in the world, that she would have done anything for them, that her last thoughts were of them. As he talked, the girls listened with wide eyes. They had never heard about their mother before. Mrs. Hendricks had told them their mother was gone because of them, but William told them the truth. Their mother died because sometimes terrible things happen, but she loved them. She had always loved them. When the story was finished, all three girls had tears in their eyes, but they were not sad tears. They were tears of understanding, of connection, of finally knowing where they came from. "She sounds nice," Rose said softly. "She was the best person I ever knew," William said, "and she lives on in all three of you. When I look at you, I see her, and that makes me so happy." The girls smiled, real smiles, small and uncertain but real. William felt his heart expand. This was what he had been running from, this feeling, this connection. He had been afraid it would hurt too much, and it did hurt, but it was a good hurt, a healing hurt. The kind of pain that meant something broken was finally starting to mend. He tucked the girls into bed. He turned off the lights but left a small lamp on in the corner. "I will be right here," he said, pointing to the chair by the window. "If you need me, just call. I am not going anywhere." The girls closed their eyes. Within minutes they were asleep, exhausted from the emotions of the day. William sat in the chair and watched them, his daughters. He had missed so much, but he would not miss anymore. From this moment forward, he would be there for every scraped knee and every bad dream and every achievement and every challenge. He would be the father they deserved, the father Catherine had believed he could be. Elena came in quietly. "They are beautiful," she said, looking at the sleeping girls. "They are," William agreed. "Elena, I need to know everything, every detail, every time Mrs. Hendricks hurt them. Every cruel thing she said. I need to understand what they have been through so I can help them heal." Elena nodded. She sat down in the other chair and began to talk. What she told him made William want to scream and break things and hunt down Mrs. Hendricks to make her pay for what she had done. But he stayed quiet. He listened. He took mental notes and he began to form a plan, not just for revenge, although that would come, but a plan for healing, for therapy, for creating a safe, loving environment where his daughters could finally be children. When Elena finished, dawn was breaking outside the window. The girls were still sleeping peacefully. William stood up and walked over to the bed. He looked down at Rose, Lily, and Violet, three perfect little humans who had survived something terrible, who were stronger than anyone gave them credit for, who deserved the world. "I love you," he whispered. It was the first time he had said those words to them, but it would not be the last. He would say it every day for the rest of his life. "I love you, and I am never going to let anyone hurt you ever again." As the sun rose over the city, William Scott made a silent promise to his daughters and to the memory of his wife. He would be better. He would be present. He would be the father these girls needed. And he would spend every day proving that love, real love, could heal even the deepest wounds. William did not sleep that night. He could not. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the bruises on his daughters' arms. He saw the fear in their faces. He heard Mrs. Hendricks's cold voice saying those children are spoiled and difficult. The rage inside him was like a living thing. It burned in his chest and made his hands shake, but he pushed it down. His daughters needed him calm. They needed him steady. They had seen enough anger and violence. What they needed now was peace. As the sun came up fully, William went downstairs to make breakfast. Elena was already in the kitchen. She had dark circles under her eyes, but she was pulling out pans and ingredients with practiced efficiency. She looked up when William walked in. "Let me help," William said. "What are we making?" Elena smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine. "The girls love pancakes," she said. Mrs. Hendricks never let them have anything sweet. She said sugar would make them more difficult to control, but Catherine used to make them pancakes every Sunday morning before she got too sick to cook. William felt his throat tighten. He had forgotten that. He had forgotten so many things about Catherine, about the life they had before the triplets came, before everything fell apart. "Then pancakes it is," he said. "Show me how Catherine made them." Elena walked him through the recipe. Catherine had added vanilla extract and cinnamon to the batter. She had cut the pancakes into shapes with cookie cutters, stars and hearts and flowers. She had let the girls pour the syrup themselves even though they made a mess. She had made breakfast fun. She had made everything fun. That was who Catherine was. She found joy in small moments and she shared that joy with everyone around her. William and Elena worked together in comfortable silence. They made enough pancakes for a small army. They sliced fresh strawberries and bananas. They whipped cream by hand. They set the table with Catherine's good dishes, the ones with tiny painted flowers on the edges. When everything was ready, William went upstairs to wake the girls. He opened the bedroom door quietly. The triplets were still asleep. They were all tangled together in the middle of the big bed. Rose had her arm around Lily. Violet was curled up against Rose's back. They looked so peaceful, so innocent. William stood there for a long moment just watching them breathe. These were his children, his responsibility, his purpose. How had he ever walked away from them? He sat down gently on the edge of the bed. "Good morning," he said softly. "Time to wake up." The girls stirred. Rose opened her eyes first. She looked confused for a moment. Then she saw William and her whole body went tense. She was remembering that he was here, remembering that things were different now, but she was not sure if different meant better or just different. "It is okay," William said gently. "You are safe. Mrs. Hendricks is gone. It is just me and Elena downstairs. We made breakfast for you." Lily sat up, rubbing her eyes. "Breakfast?" she repeated. Her voice was scratchy from sleep. "What kind of breakfast?" "Pancakes," William said, "with strawberries and bananas and whipped cream. Elena said your mother used to make them for you." All three girls were awake now. They looked at each other with something like hope on their faces. "Mama made pancakes," Violet said. It was the first time William had heard her talk about Catherine. "I remember they had shapes." "These have shapes too," William promised. "Come on, get dressed and come downstairs. Take your time, no rushing, no punishments for being slow. You can take as long as you need." The girls climbed out of bed. They were still wearing the clean pajamas from last night. William noticed that they moved carefully, like their bodies hurt, like they were used to pain. That broke his heart all over again. He helped them find clothes in the closet, simple dresses and soft leggings, nothing fancy, just comfortable clothes for a quiet day at home. When they were dressed, the girls stood in a line like they were waiting for inspection. William realized they had been trained to do this. Mrs. Hendricks had probably made them stand like this every morning while she checked to make sure they were presentable. Another small cruelty. Another way to make them feel like objects instead of people. "You do not have to do that," William said. "You do not have to line up or stand still or wait for permission. This is your home. You can move freely. You can play and run and make noise. You are allowed to be children." The girls looked uncertain. Rose spoke up. "Mrs. Hendricks said children should be seen and not heard. She said we had to be quiet and still or we would be punished." "Mrs. Hendricks was wrong," William said firmly. "Children should be heard. Your voices matter. Your feelings matter. You matter. And I want to hear everything you have to say. I want to hear you laugh and play and ask questions. That is what children are supposed to do." He held out his hands. "Come on, let us go have breakfast together as a family." Rose hesitated, then she took his hand. Lily took the other one. Violet grabbed onto the back of William's shirt. Together they walked downstairs. The smell of pancakes and cinnamon filled the house. When they reached the dining room, the girls stopped and stared. The table looked beautiful. There were flowers in a vase in the center. The pancakes were stacked high on a platter. The fruit was arranged in bowls. Everything looked warm and inviting. Elena was standing by the table. She had changed into casual clothes, no more uniform. William had told her last night that she was family now, not staff. She could dress however she wanted. She smiled when she saw the girls. "Good morning," she said. "Are you hungry?" All three girls nodded. They sat down at the table. William helped them into their chairs. He put pancakes on their plates. He let them choose their own toppings. He poured them milk and orange juice. He sat down next to them and started eating his own breakfast. For a few minutes, nobody talked. The girls ate like they were afraid the food would disappear. They stuffed pancakes into their mouths and barely chewed. William realized they had been starved. Not enough to kill them, but enough to keep them weak and compliant. Another evil thing Mrs. Hendricks had done. "Slow down," William said gently. "There is plenty of food. You can have seconds and thirds and fourths if you want. Nobody is going to take it away." The girls slowed down a little, but they still ate with urgency. William made a mental note to talk to a doctor. He needed to make sure the girls were healthy. He needed to know if there was any permanent damage from the abuse and neglect. But that could wait until tomorrow. Today was about building trust, about showing these girls that they were safe and loved. When breakfast was finished, William cleared the plates. The girls sat at the table looking uncertain. "What do we do now?" Rose asked. "Do we go to our rooms?" "No," William said. "You do not have to go to your rooms. You can do whatever you want. Do you want to play? Do you want to watch television? Do you want to go outside?" "We are allowed outside?" Lily asked. Her eyes went wide. "Mrs. Hendricks never let us go outside. She said we would get dirty and make extra work." William felt anger surge through him again. These girls had been prisoners in their own home. They had been locked inside day after day with no sunlight and no fresh air and no chance to run and play like normal children. "You are absolutely allowed outside," he said. "In fact, I think we should spend the whole day outside. The weather is beautiful. We can explore the gardens. We can play games. We can do whatever you want." The girls looked at each other. Then Violet asked the question that was clearly on all their minds. "What if we do something wrong? What if we break something or make a mess?" William knelt down in front of them. He looked each of them in the eye. "Listen to me," he said. "You are 5 years old. 5-year-olds make messes. They break things sometimes. They spill juice and track dirt and leave toys everywhere. That is normal. That is what children do, and it is okay. If you make a mess, we will clean it up together. If you break something, we will fix it or replace it. Things are just things. They do not matter. What matters is you, your happiness, your safety, your childhood. Do you understand?" The girls nodded slowly. They did not fully believe him yet. William could see the doubt in their eyes, but that was okay. He would prove it to them, day by day, moment by moment. He would show them that he meant what he said. They went outside. The estate had beautiful grounds. There were gardens full of roses and lilies and violets. Catherine had planted them herself. William had not been back here since before she died. Seeing the flowers now made his chest ache. But it was a good ache. The flowers were still blooming, still beautiful, just like Catherine would have wanted. The girls walked slowly at first. They stayed close to William and Elena. They looked around like they were seeing the world for the first time, and in a way they were. They had spent 18 months locked inside with a cruel woman who made their lives miserable. Now they were free. They were in the sunshine. They were breathing fresh air. They were safe. "Can we touch the flowers?" Rose asked. "Of course," William said. "These are your flowers. Your mother planted them, one for each of you. The roses for Rose, the lilies for Lily, the violets for Violet. She wanted you to have something beautiful that would last forever." The girls moved toward the flowers. They touched the petals gently. They smelled the blooms. They smiled real smiles. William took out his phone and snapped a picture. The first picture he had ever taken of his daughters. He looked at the image on his screen and felt tears well up. They were so beautiful, so full of life despite everything they had been through. They were survivors. Elena brought out a blanket and they sat in the shade of a big oak tree. William told the girls stories about their mother. He told them about the day they got married, about their honeymoon in Italy, about how excited Catherine was when she found out she was pregnant, about how she talked to them every day while they were still in her belly, about how she had decorated their nursery with murals of gardens and butterflies. The girls listened with hungry expressions. They wanted to know everything about the mother they barely remembered. "Did she love us?" Violet asked. It was such a simple question, but it carried so much weight. Mrs. Hendricks had told them their mother died because of them, that she had not wanted them, that they were a burden. "She loved you more than anything," William said. His voice broke a little. "She loved you so much it scared her. She used to tell me that she could not believe she got to be your mother, that you were the best thing that ever happened to her. And when she died, her last words were your names. She said, 'Rose, Lily, Violet, tell them I love them, tell them every day.' Those were her last words." All three girls were crying now, but they were not sad tears. They were relief tears, healing tears. They had been carrying guilt and shame for 18 months. They had believed they were bad, that they were unwanted. And now they were learning the truth. Their mother had loved them. Their father loved them. They were not mistakes. They were miracles. William pulled them all into his arms. They clung to him like he was their anchor. And maybe he was. Maybe that was what fathers were supposed to be. Anchors, safe harbors, places where children could land and know they would be caught. He had not been that for them before, but he was going to be that now. They spent hours outside. The girls started to relax. They started to play. At first they were hesitant. They looked to William for permission before touching anything or moving too far away. But slowly they gained confidence. Rose picked flowers and made a bouquet. Lily chased butterflies through the grass. Violet lay on the blanket and watched clouds. They were learning how to be children again. It was beautiful to watch. Around noon, Elena brought out lunch, sandwiches and fruit and cookies. They had a picnic under the oak tree. The girls ate normally this time, no more frantic stuffing. They were starting to believe that food would keep coming, that they were not going to be starved again. After lunch, William suggested they play a game. "What do you like to play?" he asked. The girls looked confused. "We do not know," Rose said. "Mrs. Hendricks never let us play. She said playing was a waste of time." William felt that familiar anger rising. He pushed it down. "Well then," he said, "we are going to figure out what you like. Let us try different things. Do you want to play tag? Do you want to play hide and seek? Do you want to kick a ball around?" "What is tag?" Lily asked. William explained the rules. The girls listened carefully, then they decided to try it. William was it first. He chased them around the garden, moving slowly so they could stay ahead of him. The girls shrieked with laughter. It was the first time William had heard them laugh, really laugh. The sound was like music, like healing, like hope. They played for an hour, then they played hide and seek, then they just ran around being silly. The girls got grass stains on their dresses, their hair got messy, they were sweaty and dirty and absolutely glowing with happiness. This was what childhood was supposed to look like. This was what Catherine had wanted for them, and William had almost let it be stolen from them. As the afternoon wore on, the girls started to tire. They came and sat with William on the blanket. Violet climbed into his lap. Rose and Lily leaned against his sides. They were quiet, but it was a comfortable quiet, not the scared silence from before. This was peace. "Thank you," Rose said suddenly. William looked down at her. "For what?" "For coming home," Rose said. "For making Mrs. Hendricks go away, for being nice to us." "You do not have to thank me," William said. His voice was thick with emotion. "I should have been here all along. I am the one who should be thanking you. Thank you for giving me another chance. Thank you for letting me be your father." "Are you really going to stay?" Lily asked. "You are not going to leave again." "I am really going to stay," William promised. "I know I left before. I know I hurt you by not being here, and I am so sorry for that, but I am different now. I understand what matters, and what matters is you three, nothing else, not work, not money, not anything, just you." Violet looked up at him with those big brown eyes. "Do you love us?" she asked. It was the same question she had asked the night before in a different way. But this time William was ready with an answer. "Yes," he said. "I love you so much it makes my chest hurt. I love you more than I thought it was possible to love anyone. You are my daughters, you are my family, you are my whole world." The girls smiled, then Violet said something that nearly destroyed William. "I think we love you too." William closed his eyes, tears ran down his face. He did not try to hide them. "That is the best thing anyone has ever said to me," he whispered. They sat together as the sun began to set. The sky turned orange and pink and purple. The gardens glowed in the golden light. It was the most beautiful evening William could remember, not because of the sunset, but because of the three little girls in his arms, his daughters, his reason for living, his second chance. When it got dark, they went inside. William gave the girls baths again. He was getting better at it. He knew how to wash their hair without getting soap in their eyes. He knew which towels were the softest. He knew that Rose liked the water hot, Lily liked it warm, and Violet liked it cool. He was learning. He was becoming a father. After baths, they had dinner. Elena had made chicken and rice and vegetables. The girls ate everything. They were starting to trust that meals would keep coming, that they would not go hungry. small victories, important victories. Then it was time for bed. William took them back to his room, the big bed where they had slept the night before. "Is this our room now?" Rose asked. "For now," William said. "Until you feel safe enough to sleep in your own rooms, you can stay here as long as you need to." The girls climbed into bed. William tucked them in. He sat on the edge of the mattress. "Do you want another story?" he asked. "Yes, please," all three said at once. William thought for a moment, then he started to tell them a new story, not about their mother this time, about themselves, about three brave sisters who went through something terrible but survived, who were scared but found courage, who were hurt but were healing, who were loved even when they did not know it. It was their story, the story of Rose, Lily, and Violet Scott. When he finished, the girls were quiet. Then Rose said, "That is us." "That is you," William confirmed. "You are the brave sisters, you are the heroes of this story." "What happens next?" Lily asked. "In the story, what happens to the sisters?" William smiled. "They live happily," he said. "They grow up in a house full of love, they have adventures and make friends and learn new things, they become strong and smart and kind. They remember the hard times, but they are not defined by them. They are defined by their courage, by their love for each other, by their ability to heal and grow and thrive." "That sounds nice," Violet said sleepily. "It is going to be nice," William promised, "because that is not just a story, that is your future, that is what I am going to make sure happens." The girls fell asleep. William stayed in the chair again. He watched them sleep. He thought about everything that had happened in the past 2 days. He had come home expecting nothing, maybe expecting to feel guilt, maybe expecting to see his daughters and feel that old pain that had driven him away, but instead he had found something he did not expect: purpose, love, a reason to keep going. His phone buzzed. It was his assistant. There were meetings he had missed, deals that needed his attention, a company that needed its CEO. William looked at the phone, then he looked at his sleeping daughters. He made a decision. He typed out a message. "I am taking a leave of absence, family emergency, handle everything without me for the next 3 months. I will check in weekly, but I am not coming back to the office. Find someone else to run things, this is not negotiable." He sent the message. Then he turned off his phone. For the first time in his adult life, work was not his priority. His daughters were, and they would stay his priority, forever. Elena came in quietly. "How are they?" she asked. "Perfect," William said. "They are absolutely perfect." Elena sat down in the other chair. "I am proud of you," she said. "This is what Catherine would have wanted." "I should have done it sooner," William said. "I wasted so much time." "You are here now," Elena said. "That is what matters. You came back, you chose them, that is what they will remember." William hoped she was right. He hoped his daughters would forgive him for the 18 months he was gone. He hoped they would remember the father he was becoming, not the father he had been. He hoped love would be enough to heal the wounds that had been carved into their little hearts. "Elena," William said, "tomorrow I am going to call a lawyer. I am going to press charges against Mrs. Hendricks. I want her arrested. I want her to pay for what she did." Elena nodded. "Good," she said. "She deserves it." "I am also going to find a child psychologist," William continued. "The best one in the country. These girls need help processing what they have been through. They need professional support." "That is wise," Elena said. "And I am going to enroll them in school," William added. "A good school, a safe school where they can make friends and learn and be normal children. They have been isolated for too long." "They will be nervous," Elena warned. "They are not used to other people." "I know," William said, "but they need to learn. They need to see that the world is not all cruel, that there are good people out there, that they are not alone." Elena smiled. "You are going to be a good father," she said. "You already are." William did not feel like a good father. He felt like a man trying to make up for terrible mistakes, but maybe that was the same thing. Maybe being a good parent was not about being perfect. It was about showing up, about trying, about loving your children even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. The night passed slowly. William dozed in the chair, but he did not really sleep. He kept waking up to check on the girls, to make sure they were still breathing, to make sure they were real, that this was real, that he really had come home, that he really had found his daughters, that they really were going to be okay. In the early morning hours, Violet woke up crying, a nightmare. William was at her side in seconds. He picked her up and held her close. "SHH," he whispered. "You are safe, I am here, nothing bad is going to happen." "I dreamed Mrs. Hendricks came back," Violet sobbed. "I dreamed she locked us in the dark room again." William's heart clenched. "The dark room?" he asked. "What is the dark room?" Violet shook her head. She did not want to talk about it. William did not push, but he made another mental note. There were more horrors he did not know about yet, more things Mrs. Hendricks had done, more trauma the girls were carrying. He would find out eventually, and he would help them heal from all of it. He rocked Violet until she fell back asleep. Then he put her back in bed between her sisters. Rose and Lily were still sleeping. They looked so peaceful, so innocent. How could anyone hurt them? How could anyone look at these perfect little humans and decide to cause them pain? As dawn broke, William made another promise. He would protect these girls with everything he had. He would make sure they never felt scared or alone or unloved again. He would be the father they deserved. No matter what it took, no matter how long it took, he would do whatever was necessary to give them the childhood they should have had from the beginning. The sun rose over the gardens. Light streamed through the windows. A new day was beginning. The second full day of William's new life, his new purpose, his second chance at being a father, and he was not going to waste it. William stood by the window watching the sunrise paint the sky in shades of gold and pink. Behind him, his 3 daughters slept peacefully in the big bed. For the first time in 18 months, he felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. The weight of guilt still pressed on his chest, but it was lighter now. He was home. He was present. He was trying. That had to count for something. Rose stirred first. She sat up slowly, rubbing her eyes. When she saw William standing by the window, she tensed for just a moment. Then she remembered. He was safe. He was her father. He had promised to stay. She relaxed. "Good morning," William said softly. He did not want to wake the other girls yet. "Did you sleep okay?" Rose nodded. She climbed out of bed and walked over to him. She was still small for her age. Mrs. Hendricks had not fed them enough, but she stood up straight like she was trying to be brave. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "You can ask me anything," William replied. He knelt down to her level. "Always, you never need permission to talk to me." Rose looked at her hands. She twisted her fingers together. "Why did you leave us?" she asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. "After Mama died, why did you go away?" The question hit William like a punch to the stomach. He had known it was coming. These girls deserved answers. They deserved the truth, but that did not make it easier to explain. How could he tell a 5-year-old that he had been too weak to face his own grief, that he had run away because looking at them hurt too much, that he had been a coward? William sat down on the floor. He pulled Rose gently into his lap. "I am going to tell you the truth," he said, "because you deserve honesty. When your mother died, I was very sad, sadder than I had ever been in my life. And when I looked at you and your sisters, I saw her. I saw everything I had lost. And instead of being grateful for the pieces of her that were still here, I ran away from the pain. I was scared. I was selfish. I was wrong." Rose looked up at him with those serious brown eyes. "You were sad because of us." "No," William said firmly. "I was sad because I missed your mother, but that was not your fault. None of it was your fault. You did not do anything wrong. I did. I should have stayed. I should have held you and loved you and honored your mother by being the father she wanted me to be, but I did not, and I will regret that for the rest of my life." "Are you still sad?" Rose asked. "Sometimes," William admitted. "I still miss your mother every day, but now when I look at you, I do not just see what I lost, I see what I have. I see 3 beautiful, brave, smart girls who are my reason for living. I see hope. I see the future. I see everything good in the world." Rose was quiet for a long moment, then she wrapped her small arms around William's neck. "I am glad you came back," she whispered. William held her tight. "Me too," he said. His voice was thick with emotion. "Me too." By the time Lily and Violet woke up, William had pulled himself together. He did not want them to see him crying. He wanted them to see strength, stability, safety. They had seen enough weakness from the adults in their lives. They needed someone who could hold them up while they healed. Elena prepared breakfast again. This time it was French toast with berries and honey. The girls ate with good appetites. They were starting to look healthier already. There was color in their cheeks, light in their eyes. They smiled more easily. Small changes but important ones. After breakfast, William made the phone calls he had promised himself he would make. First, he called his lawyer, a man named Richard Chen who had worked with the Scott family for years. Richard answered on the second ring. "William," Richard said, "I heard you were back in town. How are you?" "I need your help," William said. He kept his voice steady. "I need to press charges against someone who hurt my daughters, child abuse, neglect, possibly assault. I want to throw the book at her." There was a pause. "Tell me everything," Richard said. William explained. He told Richard about Mrs. Hendricks, about the bruises and the starvation and the psychological torture, about locking the girls in dark rooms and telling them they killed their mother, about 18 months of systematic cruelty. His voice shook with anger as he spoke, but he got through it. When he finished, Richard was silent for a long moment. "That woman is a monster," Richard finally said. "We will bury her. I will file a police report today. I will push for criminal charges, and I will file a civil suit as well. We will take everything she has." "I do not care about the money," William said. "I just want her punished. I want to make sure she can never hurt another child." "We will make sure of it," Richard promised. "I will handle everything. You focus on your daughters." The next call was to a child psychologist. William had done research during the night. He found a woman named Dr. Patricia Wells who specialized in childhood trauma. She had excellent reviews and years of experience. He called her office and explained the situation to her receptionist. Within an hour, Dr. Wells herself called him back. "Mr. Scott," she said, her voice was warm and professional. "I understand your daughters have been through something terrible. I want to help." "Can you see them soon?" William asked. "I do not want to wait. They need support now." "I can come to your house tomorrow," Dr. Wells said. "It might be easier for them to meet me in their own environment, less scary than coming to an office." "That would be perfect," William said. "Thank you." "Mr. Scott," Dr. Wells added, "I want you to know that healing from this kind of trauma takes time. There will be setbacks, there will be hard days, but children are resilient. With the right support and a lot of love, your daughters can recover. They can have normal, happy lives." William felt tears sting his eyes. "That is all I want," he said. "I just want them to be okay." "We will get them there," Dr. Wells promised. After the phone calls, William went to find his daughters. They were in the playroom with Elena. The room that had been dark and unused 2 days ago was now filled with light and laughter. Elena had opened all the curtains and pulled toys down from the shelves. The girls were playing with dolls and building blocks. They were being children. It was the most beautiful thing William had ever seen. He sat down on the floor with them. "Can I play?" he asked. The girls nodded. Violet handed him a doll. "She needs a name," Violet said. "Can you give her a name?" William looked at the doll. It had yellow hair and a blue dress. "How about Sunshine?" he suggested, "because she is bright and makes people happy." Violet smiled. "I like that, Sunshine." They played for hours. William learned that Rose liked to build towers with blocks. Lily liked to create stories with the dolls. Violet liked to draw pictures. Each girl had her own personality, her own interests, her own way of seeing the world. William realized he had missed all of this. He had missed watching them develop into individuals, but he was seeing it now, and he would never take it for granted again. Around lunchtime, the doorbell rang. Elena went to answer it. William heard voices in the hallway, then Elena came back looking nervous. "There are police officers here," she said quietly. "They want to talk to you about Mrs. Hendricks." William stood up. "Stay here with the girls," he told Elena. Then he went to the front door. 2 officers were waiting, a man and a woman. They introduced themselves as Detective Marcus Barnes and Officer Sarah Chen. They had serious expressions on their faces. "Mr. Scott," Detective Barnes said, "your lawyer called in a report about child abuse. We need to ask you some questions, and we need to see the children." William's protective instincts kicked in. "My daughters have been through enough," he said. "I do not want them traumatized further." Officer Chen spoke up. Her voice was gentle. We understand, but we need to document their injuries. We need their statements if they are able to give them. This is how we build a case against the person who hurt them. This is how we make sure she goes to prison." William took a deep breath. She was right. He knew she was right, but the thought of his daughters having to relive what happened to them made him sick. "Be gentle with them," he said. "Please, they are scared of adults. They have been taught not to trust anyone." "We will be as gentle as possible," Detective Barnes promised. "We have a specialist who works with child victims. She is very good at making children feel safe." William led them inside. The specialist was a young woman named Jennifer Brooks. She had a kind face and a soft voice. She carried a bag full of toys and coloring books. When she met the triplets, she sat down on their level. She did not tower over them. She did not rush them. She just played with them for a while, built trust, made them comfortable. Then slowly she started asking questions. "Can you tell me about the lady who used to live here?" Jennifer asked. "The one named Mrs. Hendricks?" The girls looked at each other. Rose spoke first. "She was mean," Rose said. "She hit us when we cried. She said we were bad." "Where did she hit you?" Jennifer asked gently. Rose pointed to her arms, to her back, to her legs. Jennifer took pictures with a special camera. She documented every bruise, every mark, every scar. William stood in the corner watching. His fists were clenched so tight his knuckles were white. He wanted to leave the room. He could not stand hearing this, but he forced himself to stay. His daughters needed to see that he was there, that he was not running away again. Lily told Jennifer about the dark room. It was a closet in the basement. Mrs. Hendricks would lock them in there when they misbehaved, sometimes for hours, sometimes overnight. There was no light, no windows, just darkness and cold and fear. Lily's voice shook as she spoke. William felt like he might be sick. Violet talked about the food or the lack of it. Mrs. Hendricks gave them one meal a day, sometimes just bread and water, sometimes nothing at all. She said they needed to learn discipline, that they were too fat, too greedy. Violet was the smallest of the triplets. She had probably suffered the most from the starvation. When Jennifer was finished, she thanked the girls. She gave them each a stuffed animal from her bag. Then she spoke quietly to William and the other officers in the hallway. "This is one of the worst cases I have seen," Jennifer said. Her face was pale. "Those children have been systematically abused for at least a year, maybe longer. The physical injuries will heal, but the psychological damage is significant." "Will they be okay?" William asked. His voice came out strangled. "With proper treatment and a lot of love, yes," Jennifer said. "But it will take time, years probably. They will need therapy, they will need patience, they will need consistency and safety and adults they can trust." "They have that now," William said. "I promise you they have that." Detective Barnes put a hand on William's shoulder. "We are going to find Mrs. Hendricks," he said. "We are going to arrest her, and we are going to make sure she never works with children again." "Make her pay," William said. "Please make her pay for what she did." "We will," Detective Barnes promised. After the police left, William went back to his daughters. They were quiet, talking about what happened had brought everything back to the surface. They looked scared again, uncertain. William sat down with them and pulled all three into his arms. "You were so brave," he told them. "I am so proud of you. Telling those people what happened was hard, but it was important. Now Mrs. Hendricks will be punished. She will never hurt you or anyone else again." "Will she come back?" Violet asked. Her voice was tiny. "No," William said firmly. "She will never come back. I will not let her. Nobody is ever going to hurt you again, I promise." The girls held on to him tightly. They needed that reassurance. They needed to hear over and over again that they were safe, that the nightmare was over, that they could start to heal. That evening, William made another decision. He called a contractor, a man named Thomas Wright who had done work on the house before. Thomas came over within an hour. "What do you need?" Thomas asked. "I want to renovate the girls' rooms," William said. "I want to make them beautiful and safe and special. I want each girl to have a space that is completely hers, a place where she feels loved and valued." "What are you thinking?" Thomas asked, pulling out a notebook. William had been thinking about this all day. Rose likes building things. I want to give her a room with lots of shelves for her creations. Maybe a reading nook, warm colors, yellow and orange like sunshine. Thomas nodded, writing notes. Lily loves stories, William continued. I want her room to feel like a fairy tale. Maybe paint a mural on one wall, a forest or a castle, soft colors, pink and purple, magical. In the third daughter, Thomas asked. Violet loves art, William said. I want to give her a room where she can create an easel, a big desk, lots of light. Maybe paint one wall with chalkboard paint so she can draw on it, blue and green, calm and creative. Thomas smiled. Those sound like beautiful rooms. When do you want to start? Tomorrow, William said. I know that is fast, but I want this done. I want my daughters to have spaces that are theirs, that make them happy. I will make it happen, Thomas promised. That night, after dinner and baths, William tucked the girls into bed again. They were getting used to the routine. They knew what to expect now. Routine was good for children who had lived in chaos. It gave them structure, safety, predictability. Tomorrow, a doctor is coming to visit, William said. Her name is Dr. Wells. She is very nice. She wants to talk to you about your feelings. What feelings? Rose asked. All your feelings, William said. Happy feelings, sad feelings, scared feelings, angry feelings, all of them. Sometimes when bad things happen, it helps to talk about how we feel. Dr. Wells is very good at listening. Will she make the bad dreams go away? Lily asked. She will try to help with that, William said, but it might take some time. Healing is not fast. It happens slowly, little by little, day by day, but it does happen, I promise. Will you be there? Violet asked. When we talk to Dr. Wells. If you want me to be, William said, or I can wait outside, whatever makes you most comfortable. This is about you, about what you need. The girls talked among themselves, then Rose said, we want you there. William felt his heart expand. They wanted him there. They trusted him enough to want him present during something hard. That meant everything. Then I will be there, he said, right beside you, always. He told them another story, this time about 3 sisters who learned to be happy again after being sad, who found joy in small things like flowers and sunshine and laughter, who discovered that love was stronger than pain. When he finished, all 3 girls were smiling. I like that story, Violet said. Me too, Lily agreed. It is a true story, Rose said wisely. It is about us. It is, William confirmed. And the best part is that the story is not over. We are still writing it. Every day we get to decide what happens next, and I think what happens next is going to be wonderful. The girls fell asleep. William stayed in his chair. He thought about everything that had happened over the past 3 days. 3 days ago, he had been a broken man running from his grief. Now he was a father learning how to love, how to be present, how to heal alongside his daughters. It was not easy. Every day brought new challenges, new revelations about what his daughters had suffered, new guilt about his own failures. But every day also brought progress, smiles, laughter, trust, hope. He pulled out his phone and looked at the picture he had taken in the garden. Rose, Lily, and Violet standing among the flowers their mother had planted. They looked so beautiful, so alive, so much like Catherine. William touched the screen gently. I am trying, he whispered to the image of his wife in his mind. I am trying to be the father you believed I could be. I am trying to love them the way you would have. I know I failed before, but I am here now, and I am not leaving, I promise. In the morning, Dr. Wells arrived right on time. She was a woman in her 50s with gray hair and warm eyes. She carried a briefcase and a kind smile. William introduced her to the girls. They were shy at first. They hid behind him, but Dr. Wells did not push. She sat down in the playroom and waited. Let them come to her. Eventually, curiosity won. Violet crept forward first. What is in your bag? She asked. Dr. Wells opened her briefcase. Inside were toys and games and art supplies. Tools, she said. Tools to help us talk about feelings. Sometimes talking is easier when our hands are busy. She pulled out coloring books and crayons. The girls sat down. They started coloring. And slowly, gently, Dr. Wells started asking questions, not about the abuse at first, just about them, what they liked, what made them happy, what they dreamed about. She was building rapport, creating a safe space. William watched from the corner. He saw his daughters slowly open up, saw them start to trust this kind stranger. It gave him hope. If they could learn to trust Dr. Wells, they could learn to trust other people. They could learn that not all adults were cruel, that the world had goodness in it. After an hour, Dr. Wells spoke with William privately while Elena stayed with the girls. "They are remarkable children," Dr. Wells said. "Resilient, strong, but they are carrying a lot of trauma. We have a long road ahead." "What do I need to do?" William asked. "How do I help them?" "Keep doing what you are doing," Dr. Wells said. "Be present, be consistent, be patient. Let them feel their feelings without judgment. If they are angry, let them be angry. If they are sad, let them be sad. Do not try to fix everything immediately, just be there with them in the hard moments." "I can do that," William said. "I also recommend we set up regular sessions," Dr. Wells continued. "Twice a week to start. Individual sessions with each girl and family sessions with all of you together. We need to address the trauma, but we also need to build healthy family dynamics." "Whatever it takes," William said. "Money is not an issue, time is not an issue, just tell me what you need." Dr. Wells smiled. "You are a good father," she said. "Do not let guilt tell you otherwise. You are here now, you are trying, that is what matters." Over the following weeks, life began to find a rhythm. Dr. Wells came twice a week. The contractor worked on the girls' rooms. William spent every day with his daughters. They had breakfast together, played together, learned together. He was discovering who they were as individuals. Rose was serious and thoughtful. She asked deep questions. She protected her sisters. Lily was creative and emotional. She felt everything intensely. She needed extra reassurance. Violet was quiet and observant. She watched the world carefully. She expressed herself through art. William learned their favorite foods. Rose liked mac and cheese. Lily liked chicken nuggets. Violet liked spaghetti. He learned their fears. Rose was afraid of the dark. Lily was afraid of loud noises. Violet was afraid of being alone. He learned how to comfort them. Rose needed words of affirmation. Lily needed physical touch. Violet needed quality time. Every day he learned something new. Every day he became a better father. The police found Mrs. Hendricks 2 weeks after William came home. She had been staying with a friend in another state. They arrested her and brought her back. William made sure he was at the courthouse when she was arraigned. He wanted her to see him, to know that she had not won, that his daughters were safe and loved and thriving. Mrs. Hendricks looked smaller in handcuffs, less threatening, but William still felt rage when he saw her. This woman had tortured his children, had stolen months of their childhood, had left scars that would take years to heal. The judge denied bail, said she was a flight risk and a danger to children. William felt a grim satisfaction at that. Richard Chen filed the civil suit as promised. They were suing for damages, for medical expenses, for pain and suffering, for the cost of years of therapy. William did not need the money, but he wanted Mrs. Hendricks to lose everything. He wanted her to understand that actions have consequences, that hurting innocent children would destroy her life the way she had tried to destroy theirs. 1 month after William came home, the girls' rooms were finished. Thomas had done beautiful work. Each room was perfect. Exactly what William had envisioned. He decided to surprise the girls. He had been keeping them out of that wing of the house while the work was being done. Now it was time to show them. After breakfast, he blindfolded all 3 girls. They giggled as he led them down the hallway. "Where are we going?" Lily asked. "You will see," William said. "Trust me." He stopped outside Rose's room first. He removed her blindfold. "Open your eyes." Rose opened her eyes. She gasped. The room was beautiful. The walls were painted warm yellow. There were shelves everywhere filled with building supplies and books. There was a reading nook with soft cushions. There was a desk for homework. And on the wall was a painted quote that said, "Dream big. Build bigger." "This is mine," Rose whispered. "All yours," William said. "Your space, your sanctuary, a place where you can be yourself." Rose turned and hugged William tightly. "Thank you," she said. Tears ran down her face, happy tears. Next was Lily's room. When she saw it, she started crying immediately. The walls were painted soft pink and purple. There was a mural of a magical forest with trees and flowers and fairies. There was a canopy bed that looked like something from a storybook. There were bookshelves full of novels, and hanging from the ceiling were paper stars that glowed in the dark. "It is perfect," Lily sobbed. "It is the most beautiful room I have ever seen." Finally, Violet's room. She was the last to see hers. When William removed her blindfold, she stood frozen. The walls were blue and green like the ocean. There was an easel by the window, a big desk covered with art supplies, shelves full of paints and markers and clay, and one entire wall was painted with chalkboard paint. Already someone had written in colorful chalk, "Violet's Studio." Violet walked into the room slowly. She touched the easel, the desk, the chalkboard wall. Then she picked up a piece of chalk and drew a heart. Inside the heart she wrote, "Thank you, Daddy." William had to turn away. He was crying. His daughters were happy. They had rooms that made them feel safe and loved and special. This was what fatherhood was supposed to be. This was what he had been running from, this beautiful, overwhelming, perfect love. That night, for the first time, the girls slept in their own rooms. William tucked each one in separately. He sat with Rose until she fell asleep. He sang to Lily until her breathing evened out. He held Violet's hand until she stopped fighting sleep. Then he went to his own room. The big bed felt empty without them. William lay awake for a long time. He was proud of them for being brave enough to sleep alone, but he missed having them close, missed knowing they were safe right where he could see them. He supposed this was part of parenting. Letting go little by little, allowing them to grow and become independent. It was hard, but it was good. Around midnight, his door opened. Rose crept in. "I had a bad dream," she whispered. "Come here," William said, lifting the covers. Rose climbed into bed with him. Minutes later, Lily appeared, then Violet. All three girls piled into the bed. They curled up against William like they had every night for the past month. "Your rooms are beautiful," William said, "but there is no rush. You can sleep here as long as you need to until you feel ready, okay?" "Okay," all three said together. William held his daughters close. They were healing. Slowly but surely they were learning to feel safe, learning to trust, learning to be children again. It would take time, there would be setbacks, there would be hard days ahead, but they would face those days together, as a family. 2 months after William came home, the triplets had their first day of school. William had enrolled them in a small private school with excellent teachers and a strong anti-bullying policy. Dr. Wells had helped prepare them, had taught them strategies for dealing with anxiety, had given them tools to express their feelings in healthy ways. The morning of their first day, William helped them get ready. He made their favorite breakfast. He packed their lunches himself. He drove them to school in his car. He walked them to their classroom holding their hands. The teacher was a young woman named Ms. Rodriguez. She had a kind face and a gentle voice. She welcomed the girls warmly. She showed them their desks, their cubbies, the reading corner. She made them feel safe. When it was time for William to leave, the girls looked scared. "You are coming back, right?" Rose asked. "I will be here at 3 o'clock, William promised. "Right outside, waiting for you. I will never leave you somewhere without coming back, you have my word." He kissed each of them on the forehead. Then he forced himself to walk away even though everything in him wanted to stay. This was good for them. They needed to be around other children. They needed to learn and grow and have normal experiences. But it was hard letting them go. William sat in his car in the parking lot for 30 minutes, just in case one of them needed him, just in case something went wrong, but nothing went wrong. Eventually he drove home. He tried to work. He tried to focus on emails and conference calls, but all he could think about was his daughters. Were they okay? Were they scared? Were the other kids being nice to them? At 2:30, he left for the school. He was the first parent in the pickup line. When the bell rang at 3, he watched the doors anxiously. The girls came out together holding hands. When they saw him, their faces lit up. They ran to the car. "How was it?" William asked as they buckled in. "Good," Rose said. "We made friends." "The teacher is nice," Lily added. "I painted a picture," Violet said. She said it was beautiful. William felt relief wash over him. They were okay. They had survived their first day. They had actually enjoyed it. This was progress, real, tangible progress. That night at dinner, the girls talked non-stop about school, about the other kids. about the lessons, about recess. They were excited, engaged, happy. William listened to every word. He asked questions. He celebrated their small victories. He made them feel heard and valued. After dinner, they did homework together at the kitchen table. William helped Rose with her math. He listened to Lily read aloud. He admired Violet's artwork. These were the moments Catherine had dreamed of, these normal, everyday moments that made a family. William felt her presence like a warm glow around them. She would be proud of the girls, of him, of how far they had come. 3 months after William came home, the criminal trial for Mrs. Hendricks began. William attended every day. He wanted to see justice served. The prosecutor was a tough woman named Janet Torres. She presented the evidence methodically. Photos of the bruises, medical reports documenting malnutrition, testimony from Elena about what she had witnessed, testimony from Dr. Wells about the psychological damage, and finally, video testimony from the girls themselves. They had recorded it privately so the girls would not have to face Mrs. Hendricks in court. Watching his daughters on that screen talking about what they had endured broke William all over again. But they were so brave. They told the truth clearly. They did not minimize or excuse. They simply stated facts. This woman hurt us. She starved us. She locked us in dark places. She told us we were worthless. The jury listened with horrified expressions. Mrs. Hendricks's defense lawyer tried to argue that she was just maintaining discipline, that the Scott children were difficult, that William had abandoned them and left her to handle impossible circumstances. But the evidence was overwhelming. There was no excuse for what she had done, no justification for abusing children. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. They found Mrs. Hendricks guilty on all counts, multiple counts of child abuse, neglect, assault, endangerment. The judge sentenced her to 15 years in prison. She would also never be allowed to work with children again. Her name would be on a registry. Everyone would know what she had done. When the verdict was read, William felt something release in his chest. Justice. His daughters had justice. Mrs. Hendricks would pay for her crimes. She would spend years behind bars thinking about what she had done. It would not undo the damage. It would not erase the trauma. But it was something. It was accountability. He went home and told the girls. They were quiet at first. Then Rose asked, "Does this mean she can never hurt us again?" "Never," William said. "She is going to prison for a long time, and even when she gets out, she will never be allowed near children. You are safe. You will always be safe." The girls seemed to relax. Some invisible weight lifted from their shoulders. They had been carrying fear for so long. Fear that Mrs. Hendricks would come back, that the nightmare would start again. Now they could finally let that fear go. 6 months after William came home, Dr. Wells said something that made him cry. "They are going to be okay," she said after a session. "I know there is still work to do, but your daughters are resilient. They are healing. With continued therapy and the loving home you have provided, they are going to grow into healthy, happy adults." William sat in his car in Dr. Wells's parking lot and sobbed. He cried for everything his daughters had been through, for the time he had wasted, for the pain they had all endured, but he also cried from relief. They were going to be okay. He had not failed them permanently. He had come back. He had chosen them, and that had made all the difference. 1 year after William came home, they celebrated the triplets' 6th birthday. It was a big party. William invited their school friends. He hired entertainers. He had a bounce house and a petting zoo and a face painter. The house was filled with laughter and music and joy. Catherine would have loved it. William watched his daughters run around with their friends. They were so different from the scared, broken little girls he had found in the kitchen a year ago. They were confident now, happy, healthy. They still had hard days. They still had nightmares sometimes. They still needed extra reassurance, but they were thriving. They were children. And that was the greatest gift William could have given them. As the party wound down and parents came to pick up their kids, William gathered his daughters together. "I want to tell you something," he said. 1 year ago today I came home, and finding you was the best thing that ever happened to me. You three are my everything. You saved me. You gave me a reason to keep going. You taught me what love really means. And I want you to know that I am so proud of you. You are brave and strong and kind. You are everything your mother hoped you would be." The girls hugged him tight. "We love you, Daddy," they said together. "I love you too," William said. "More than all the stars in the sky, more than all the water in the ocean, more than anything in the whole world." That night, after everyone had gone home and the house was quiet, William stood in the garden. He looked at the roses and lilies and violets that Catherine had planted. They were blooming beautifully, thriving just like their namesakes. "We did it," William whispered to the memory of his wife. "We gave them the life you wanted for them. They are happy, they are loved, they are going to be okay. I promise I will keep taking care of them every day for the rest of my life. This is my purpose, they are my purpose, and I will never forget that again." The wind rustled through the flowers. William felt a sense of peace settle over him. Catherine was gone, that pain would never fully disappear, but her love remained, in their daughters, in the beautiful life they were building together, in every laugh and smile and moment of joy. She lived on, and she always would. William walked back inside. His daughters were waiting for him in the living room. They were in their pajamas ready for bed. But they wanted one more story, one more moment with their father before the day ended. William sat down on the couch. The girls piled around him, Rose on his left, Lily on his right, Violet in his lap. This was his favorite place in the world, right here with his 3 perfect daughters, his reason for living, his second chance, his redemption. "Tell us about Mama," Violet requested. "Tell us about the day we were born." So William told them the story. He told them about how Catherine had been so excited, how she had laughed even through the pain, how she had held each of them and counted their fingers and toes, how she had whispered to each one, "I love you, you are perfect, you are my miracle." How in her last moments she had looked at William and said, "Take care of them, love them enough for both of us." "And I am," William said, "I am loving you enough for both of us every single day." The girls smiled. They knew this story by heart now, but they never tired of hearing it. It connected them to the mother they barely remembered. It reminded them that they were wanted, loved, cherished, that their very existence was a gift. As William tucked them into bed that night, each in their own beautiful room, he thought about how far they had come. 1 year ago, his life had been empty, hollow, meaningless. He had been running from pain and grief and responsibility, but coming home had changed everything. His daughters had given him purpose. They had taught him that love was not about avoiding pain. It was about choosing to stay even when things were hard. It was about showing up every single day and doing the work of being present. Rose was almost asleep when she grabbed William's hand. "Daddy," she said softly. "Yes, sweetheart." "I am glad you are our father," she said. "I am glad you came home." William kissed her forehead. "I am glad too. Coming home to you and your sisters was the best decision I ever made. Sleep well, my brave girl." He moved to Lily's room next. She was holding her favorite stuffed animal, a purple bunny she had named Hope. "Daddy, will you always be here?" she asked. It was a question she still asked sometimes. The fear of abandonment had not completely healed, but William understood. Trust took time to rebuild. "Always," William promised. "I am never leaving, not for work, not for anything. This is where I belong, with you and Rose and Violet. Nothing is more important than you 3, nothing ever will be." Lily smiled and closed her eyes. "Good night, Daddy." "Good night, my sweet girl." Finally, he went to Violet's room. She was sitting up in bed drawing in a sketchbook. She looked up when he came in. "Look," she said, turning the book toward him, "I drew us." William looked at the picture. It showed 4 people holding hands in a garden, 3 small figures and 1 large one. Above them was a sun with a smiling face, and in the corner, drawn in soft colors, was a woman with flowers in her hair. Catherine. Violet had included her mother in the family portrait. "It is perfect," William said, his voice thick with emotion. "Can I keep it?" Violet nodded. She tore the page carefully from her book and handed it to him. "So you do not forget," she said. "I could never forget," William said. "Not Mama, not you, not any of this. You are all written on my heart forever." He tucked Violet in and turned off the light. As he left her room, he looked down at the drawing in his hands. This was everything. This simple picture drawn by a 6-year-old captured the truth of their life. They were a family, broken in some ways, healing in others, but whole where it mattered. They had each other, they had love, and that was enough. William went to his own room. He placed Violet's drawing on his nightstand where he could see it first thing every morning. Then he sat on the edge of his bed and thought about the past year. It had been the hardest year of his life, but it had also been the best. He had learned what it meant to be a father, not just to provide money and a house, but to provide love and stability and presence, to show up even when it was uncomfortable, to do the hard work of healing alongside his children. He thought about the lessons his daughters had taught him. Rose had taught him about courage, about facing fear head-on, about asking hard questions and demanding honest answers. Lily had taught him about emotion, about letting himself feel instead of running from pain, about the power of vulnerability. Violet had taught him about creativity, about finding beauty in brokenness, about expressing love in unexpected ways. These three little girls had saved his life. They had given him a reason to stop running, a reason to face his grief and guilt, a reason to become a better man. William knew he would never be perfect. He would make mistakes. There would be days when he failed them in small ways, but he would never abandon them again. He would never put anything above their well-being. He had learned his lesson the hardest way possible. His phone buzzed. It was a message from Elena. She had gone to her own apartment for the night, but she checked in every evening. "How are my girls?" the message read. William smiled and typed back, "They are perfect. We had a wonderful birthday party. Thank you for everything you do for us. You are family." Elena responded immediately, "You are all my family too. See you tomorrow." William set down his phone. Elena had been crucial to their healing. She had been the one constant in the girls' lives when everything else was chaos. She had protected them, loved them, kept them alive. William made sure she knew how valued she was. He had tripled her salary, given her a title, head of household management. But more importantly, he treated her as an equal, as a partner in raising his daughters. She was not just an employee, she was Aunt Elena. The girls adored her. As William lay down to sleep, he heard a soft knock on his door. "Come in," he called. The door opened. All three girls stood there in their pajamas. "We could not sleep," Rose said. "Can we stay with you?" William smiled and pulled back the covers. "Always come here." The girls climbed into bed with him. They settled into their familiar positions, Rose on his left, Lily on his right, Violet curled up against his chest. They fit together perfectly like pieces of a puzzle. This was home, not the house or the money or the material things. These four people together, this was what mattered. "Daddy," Lily whispered in the darkness. "Yes, baby. Are you happy?" William thought about the question. A year ago he would have said he could never be happy again, that losing Catherine had destroyed any chance of joy. But now he understood something important. Happiness and grief could exist together. He could miss his wife and still find joy in his daughters. He could carry sadness and still experience love. Life was not either or, it was both and. "Yes," William said honestly, "I am happy. You three make me happy every single day." "We are happy too," Rose said, "happier than we have ever been." "Me too," Violet added. "Me three," Lily said, and they all giggled at her joke. They fell asleep together in the big bed, 4 heartbeats in sync, 4 people who had found each other again, 4 pieces of a broken family that had somehow become whole. In the days and weeks that followed, life continued to get better. The girls excelled in school. They made more friends. They joined activities. Rose started a robotics club. Lily joined the school choir. Violet took art classes. They were thriving in ways William had barely dared to hope for. Dr. Wells continued to work with them. The therapy sessions became less frequent as the girls healed, once a week instead of twice, then every other week. The progress was remarkable. The nightmares decreased, the anxiety lessened, the girls smiled more easily, laughed more freely. They were learning to trust the world again. William changed too. He learned patience. He learned to listen more and talk less. He learned that being a good parent meant putting aside his own needs sometimes. It meant being uncomfortable, being vulnerable, admitting when he was wrong, apologizing, growing. He was not the same man who had run away 18 months ago. He was better, stronger, more complete. He also learned to forgive himself. That was the hardest part. For months he carried crushing guilt about the time he had missed, the suffering he had allowed, the ways he had failed his daughters. But Dr. Wells helped him understand something important. He could not change the past. He could only control what he did moving forward. And moving forward, he was being the father his daughters needed. That had to be enough. The civil lawsuit against Mrs. Hendricks was settled out of court. She had no assets, but her insurance company paid a significant sum. William put all of it into trust funds for his daughters, money for college, for therapy, for whatever they needed as they grew up. It would not undo the damage, but it would provide for their future. Mrs. Hendricks sent a letter from prison. It was a half-hearted apology that blamed stress and circumstances for her actions. William read it once and then burned it. He did not want that poison anywhere near his daughters. Some people never took responsibility for their cruelty. Some people never truly changed. Mrs. Hendricks was one of those people. William was just grateful she was locked away where she could not hurt anyone else. As the first anniversary of William coming home approached, he decided to do something special. He planned a trip, a real vacation, just him and his daughters, somewhere beautiful and peaceful where they could make happy memories together. He chose a beach house in California, a place with sand and surf and sunshine, a place where they could heal and play and be a family. When he told the girls about the trip, they were so excited they could barely contain themselves. None of them had ever been on a real vacation. Mrs. Hendricks had never taken them anywhere, and before that they were too young to remember. This would be their first family trip, their first adventure together. They flew to California on a bright morning. The girls pressed their faces against the airplane windows watching the clouds. They held William's hands during takeoff because it was scary. But they were brave. They were always so brave. When they landed, William rented a car and they drove to the beach house. It was right on the ocean. The girls could see waves from the windows. For a week they did nothing but relax and play. They built sandcastles, they collected seashells, they splashed in the waves. William taught them how to swim. Elena came with them and helped manage the logistics, but mostly it was just the four of them being together, being happy, being free. One evening, they sat on the beach watching the sunset. The sky was painted in brilliant oranges and pinks and purples. The girls were tired from a long day of playing. They leaned against William, peaceful and content. "This is the best day ever," Lily said. "We have had lots of best days," Rose corrected. "Every day with Daddy is a best day." "That is true," Violet agreed. William felt tears prick his eyes. He blinked them back. "You know what?" he said. "You three are the best thing that ever happened to me. I know I did not always act like it. I know I made terrible mistakes, but I want you to know something important. You saved my life. Coming home to you gave me a reason to keep going. You taught me what love really means, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of you." "You already are worthy, Daddy," Rose said seriously. "You are the best daddy in the whole world." "You came back," Lily added. "That is what matters. You came back and you stayed." "And you love us," Violet finished. "We can feel it every day in everything you do. We know you love us." William pulled all three girls into his arms. They sat together as the sun dipped below the horizon, as the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, as the waves crashed against the shore in an endless rhythm. They sat together and they were complete. That night, after the girls were asleep in their beach house bedrooms, William walked down to the water alone. He stood with his feet in the surf and looked up at the stars. He thought about Catherine, about how much she would have loved this, how proud she would have been of their daughters, how happy she would have been to see them thriving. "I did it," William whispered to the stars. "I kept my promise. I took care of them. I loved them enough for both of us. They are happy and healthy and whole. They are going to be okay. We are all going to be okay." The wind blew gently off the ocean. William felt a sense of peace settle deep in his bones. He had been given a second chance. Not many people got that. Not many people got to come back from their mistakes and make things right, but he had, and he had not wasted it. He had chosen his daughters, he had chosen love, he had chosen to stay. And that made all the difference. The rest of their lives would not be perfect. There would still be hard days. The girls would still struggle sometimes with the trauma they had experienced. They would need continued support and patience and understanding. William would make mistakes as a father. He would not always say the right thing or do the right thing, but he would always try, he would always show up, he would always choose them. Because that was what love was, not perfection, not avoiding pain, not running when things got hard. Love was staying, it was showing up day after day, it was doing the work of healing together. It was building a life one moment at a time, one hug at a time, one laugh at a time, one tear at a time. William walked back to the beach house. He checked on each of his daughters. Rose was sleeping peacefully with a smile on her face. Lily was hugging her purple bunny. Violet had kicked off her covers and William gently pulled them back over her. They were safe. They were loved. They were home, not in a physical place but in the knowledge that they belonged, that they mattered, that they were wanted. And William was home too. He had spent 18 months wandering, searching for something that was right here all along. His purpose, his meaning, his reason for living. It was not in boardrooms or business deals or accumulating wealth. It was in these three perfect little girls. It was in being their father, their protector, their safe place to land. As William finally fell asleep that night, he thought about the moment he had walked into his kitchen 1 year ago. The moment he had seen his daughters with Elena. The moment that had changed everything. If he had not come home that day, what would have happened? Would Mrs. Hendricks still be hurting them? Would they still be starving and scared and alone? The thought made him sick. But he had come home, and that had made all the difference. Not just for his daughters, but for him. They had healed each other, they had saved each other, they had become a family. When they returned home from California, life settled into a comfortable routine. School and homework and dinner together, weekend adventures and movie nights, birthday parties and holidays, all the normal moments that made up a childhood, all the things William had almost missed, all the things he would never take for granted again. On the 1-year anniversary of the day William had come home, they had a small celebration, just the four of them and Elena. They made pancakes with shapes just like that first morning. They looked at pictures from the past year. They talked about how far they had come, how much they had grown, how much they had healed. "I want to say something," Rose announced. She stood up like she was making a speech. "1 year ago our lives changed. We were scared and hurt and sad, but then Daddy came home and he saved us. He made Mrs. Hendricks go away, he gave us beautiful rooms, he gave us love, he gave us a family, and I just want to say thank you for coming back, thank you for staying, thank you for being our daddy." Lily and Violet nodded in agreement. "Thank you, Daddy," they said together. William could not speak. His throat was too tight, so he just pulled his daughters into his arms and held them. These three magnificent little humans who had survived hell and come out stronger. These three miracles who had saved him as much as he had saved them. These three pieces of his heart walking around outside his body. "Thank you," he finally managed to say. "Thank you for giving me a second chance. Thank you for teaching me what really matters. Thank you for being exactly who you are. I love you more than words can say." And they sat together, this little family that had almost been broken beyond repair. They sat together and they were whole, scarred but whole, wounded but healing, imperfect but filled with love. Because at the end of the day, that was what mattered, not the money or the big house or the success, not the past mistakes or the lost time or the what-ifs. What mattered was this. Right here, right now, 4 people who loved each other, 4 people who had chosen each other, 4 people who would face whatever came next together. William Scott had come home 1 year ago not knowing what he would find. He had found his daughters bruised and broken. He had found them scared and starving. He had found them suffering, but he had also found his purpose, his redemption, his second chance, and he had taken it. He had done the hard work of showing up, of being present, of loving his children even when it hurt. And his daughters, those 3 brave, beautiful girls, had done the hard work of healing, of learning to trust again, of letting love in. They had done the hard work of becoming children again, of reclaiming the joy that had been stolen from them, of building a future despite a traumatic past. Together they had created something beautiful, a family built not on perfection but on perseverance, a family built not on avoiding pain but on walking through it hand in hand, a family built on choosing each other every single day, on showing up, on staying, on loving even when it was hard. As the sun set that evening and the girls played in the garden among the flowers their mother had planted, William stood at the window and watched. He thought about Catherine, about how she would have loved seeing this, their daughters running and laughing and free. He thought about how she had given her life so they could live, how her last act had been one of love, and he promised her once again that he would honor that sacrifice. He would love these girls enough for both of them. He would give them the life she had dreamed they would have. "I am doing my best," William whispered to the memory of his wife. "I hope that is enough. I hope you are proud. I hope wherever you are you can see them, can see how beautiful and strong they are, can see how much they are loved." The wind rustled through the flowers, and in that moment William felt Catherine's presence, not sad or angry or disappointed, but peaceful, grateful, proud. She was at peace because her daughters were loved, because her husband had finally come home, because her family was whole again. That night, as William tucked his daughters into bed, he told them one final story. A story about a man who was lost and then found. A man who ran away and then came home. A man who learned that love was not about being perfect. It was about being present, about choosing the people who mattered, about staying even when it was hard. "Is that story about you?" Violet asked when he finished. "Yes," William said honestly. "That story is about me, about all of us, about how we found each other again, about how we became a family." "I like that story," Rose said. "Me too," Lily agreed. "It is my favorite story," Violet added, "because it has a happy ending." "It does," William confirmed. "The happiest ending of all, we all lived happily ever after together." And as William turned off the lights and left his daughters to sleep, he knew that was true. They would live happily, not perfectly. There would still be challenges and hard days and moments of struggle, but they would face them together, as a family, with love as their foundation and each other as their strength. William Scott had come home unannounced 1 year ago. He had walked into his kitchen expecting nothing, but he had found everything. He had found his daughters, his purpose, his redemption, his future, and he had learned the most important lesson of all. Love was not about running from pain, it was about staying through it. It was about choosing people over comfort, connection over convenience, family over fear. And when you made that choice, when you truly committed to the people you loved, magic happened, healing happened, hope happened, life happened. And that was the greatest gift William could have asked for, not a life without pain, but a life filled with love, a life filled with 3 beautiful daughters who called him daddy, a life filled with purpose and meaning and joy, a life worth living. He had come home, and in doing so, he had finally found himself. The end. Life lessons. This story teaches us that it is never too late to make things right. William ran from his pain and his responsibilities, and his daughters suffered terribly because of it. But when he finally came home, when he finally chose to face his grief and be present for his children, everything changed. We learn that real courage is not about avoiding difficulty, but about showing up even when it is hard. We learn that children are resilient, but they need love and stability to heal. We learn that being a good parent means being present, being consistent, and putting your children's needs above your own comfort. Most importantly, we learn that love has the power to heal even the deepest wounds. When we choose to stay, to show up, to do the hard work of loving the people who need us, we not only save them, but we save ourselves. Family is not about being perfect. It is about being present, and that presence, that commitment, that unconditional love can transform everything. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth and join us for more powerful stories about love, redemption, and the strength of the human spirit.